Coach Douglas, talk to me this year about the 2022 Lyon College football team. What's your general overview right now?
Well, we're very excited. We've got the biggest group, the biggest team that we've had since I've been here for sure, maybe one of the biggest since the reinstitution of Lyon football going on 8 years ago now. Had a really nice class come in of just over 60 players. I tell a lot of guys probably the longest and maybe the fastest or the most athletic as a whole group I've ever recruited. And that's scholarship, non-scholarship, Division II even, that I've been associated with. So very excited about the group, but they are freshmen. They are still pretty young. They've got a long way to go. But the early results are promising for sure. We've got a very nice group of leaders too that I call them the old heads that are leading the way, and not just on the field but off the field as well. And that's just as important as anything else that we do. So if we can continue on track as we are right now, stay healthy, we will definitely see an improved team for sure. And hopefully some of those young guys will be able to contribute, may have to contribute a little sooner than that we would normally hope. But considering how youthful we are, we're going to have to lean on some young guys. So we're excited, but guarded as well because of that youth. But that youth also gives you a lot of hope for the future.
Talk to me about the Sooner Athletic Conference. We've got a couple of ranked teams in there. I know from top to bottom it's really strong. So they've got you picked 8th. What do you think?
I think that's a fair rating, first of all. Considering our performance last year, being as young as we were, having some guys coming back but still being youthful, I think that's a fair ranking. But preseason rankings are about as worth the amount of paper that they're printed on. So it'll be interesting to see at the end of the year how that all pans out. But definitely our two Arizona schools, Arizona Christian and Ottawa, Arizona, are very strong. I look to fully expect Ottawa to be just as good or even better than they were last year. I've heard through the grapevine that they've got some upgrades through the transfer portal. So it would be interesting to see when they come to our place week 2 what they look like. But I'm also anxious to go back up against those guys and see how we've improved from week 2 of last year. And Arizona Christian is a fine program. I feel like we match up fairly well with them, and maybe better than maybe some other teams that we have in our conference. But it's going to be very competitive in this conference. I really look for some other teams to start to continue to make a climb, like Oklahoma Panhandle State. I look to see them make continued improvements. So it'll be interesting to see how this all pans out this year.
The mentality of the team right now. I know you're young. You have a couple of seniors, some juniors, mainly a group of sophomores that are going to be your leaders this year. They've got 1 year under the belt. What's the mentality? What's the attitude of these guys right now?
Well, I tell guys all the time, if they're freshmen and they're going into their spring, we're going to see the biggest improvement in their performance, the most marked increase from that freshman year to sophomore year, because they've had all those bumps and bruises, all those adversities as a freshman when you're just trying to learn the culture, trying to learn the system, you're just trying to fit in and make it through academically. Now they've gone through that hard part. And so now, even though the classes may not get easier, life gets easier for them. They know the system, they know the expectations, particularly having continuity in our coaching staff. So those guys will be more comfortable, and that's where you'll start to see leaders rise to the top. And we've already started to see that. But of course, our real old heads, the guys that have 3 and 4 years of experience behind them, are really taking the charge and taking control of the group. And when we're starting to wane, to lose a little bit of energy and focus in practice, those guys are right there to pick us back up. So I think though it's going to be really good for those upperclassmen, those juniors and seniors, to hear, or for the sophomores to hear those juniors and seniors really chime in and set the tone, and that will just increase their ability to be able to do that now and in the near future as well.
Potential starters, you want to talk about that, or are we still working on that right now?
Definitely still working on that. I mean, we feel very good about certain sections of our offensive line at center. Malcolm Howard will be, for me at least, a 3-year starter. He started half season in the spring of 21, then a full season last year. Definitely counting on Phillip Brown at right guard, along with Austin Trimble, who split time a lot last year. It was almost a 50-50 split. Very well could do that again, where Austin's probably in his last year is close to graduation, and Phillip's got a couple more years to go. And then Jacob Four, just right up the road to Cave City. Very interested to see how he continues to develop, because he has just made such improvements and worked so hard since day one. But it's really the fruit of that labor is really starting to come about. So really anxious to see how that core in our offensive line continues to develop. Of course, we've got Isaiah Bradford, who continue to lead the charge for us offensively, as long as someone doesn't step up and take it from him. But right now, again, he's not just the leader of the offense, he really is the leader of the team. I think our entire team looks toward him as far as our tempo and our mentality and our approach to things. Defensively, I'm definitely looking for Cameron Scarlett to continue to make improvements and continue to basically lead the linebacker core, along with returner Nate Sarver, who split time last year. We're definitely anxious to get Chad Crenshaw back at corner, and Camden Clear, goodness, will continue to improve as well. So looking forward to those guys up front. Michael Hewlett, basically a 3-year starter as well. Looking for him to really take charge there up front also. So we've got some new guys that will be nice in the mix, but we've also got a lot of guys with some significant experience there.
Kicking, special teams.
All brand new.
Okay.
I mean, we had no kickers coming back. We've got a couple. We've got a true freshman and a transfer at the kicking position, and then we've got a transfer at punter. The early returns, again, are very optimistic. I'm very excited about those, but we've got a lot of growth there as well. But I do believe we'll be stronger, particularly in the punting game.
Yeah.
Walter Taylor is a transfer that he's got a very light leg. Kevin Gozerkar is also a very strong kicker. He's got some, I think he's more mature, he's older, so we're looking forward to those guys, along with Tyler Landry, just from Blytheville, just down the road as a freshman, to make an impact on the special teams.
Talk about your new coaches coming in and how well they fit into the system.
Yeah, so we had a lot of turnover on the staff this offseason. It was disappointing, or sad to see those guys move on to great situations for themselves and their careers. But we also got a really nice group of experienced coaches to be able to come in. We've got guys that are former head coaches at junior colleges in Minnesota, 2 of those guys. We've got a young coach who's very hungry and has some experience, is a little bit older, but is new to college coaching, that will be helping with our defensive backs. Of course, Coach Rudd, Coach Lieb, who've been with me for a while, have our back and will continue to build. We've got a young new running back coach in Riley Freeland, who we're excited about. So with Coach Hintz at linebackers and Coach Kosick at defensive line, we're bringing that former head coaching experience. Definitely excited about where we're going. And we've even added a coach to help with our kickers, Dr. Stan Mars, who's a local resident, is going to be coming in and helping our program more as much on the personal and spiritual side as well as on the kicking side. So we're very excited about that. Rush Warren is a former player and be coaching our tight ends. So we've got all of our positions well covered, and now those guys are continuing to grow and learn in the system just like our young players are.
I know you brought in Coach Carr, and he's the offensive line coach. Now, how is he working with you on the offensive part of it?
Well, me coaching the quarterbacks, I've got to be very heavily involved in the passing game. And so when we're in the physical part of practice, there's a lot of times where I can't get down to the running game, and I've got to watch that on film. So I really have to trust Coach Freeland and Coach Carr to put that together when we're working on the run game. So I definitely appreciate Coach Carr. He's super experienced, and we've had some time together, not necessarily on the same staff, but have known each other for a few years. So Coach Carr has just been awesome on our staff and has really pitched in a lot of different ways that you can't even really measure. So definitely excited to have Coach Carr and helping out there.
What's it going to take for the Scots to be in the playoffs this year?
It will take a lot. We've got a long way to go. We're very young, and again, you're talking about some teams that have already been there and done that, or at least been in that upper echelon. Our big focus is really not necessarily on that. Our focus is just making ourselves the best team that we can daily, trying to get what we call 1% better. And if we can continue to build upon that and continue to build momentum, then that leads us to further successes, and that's when the wins start to come. And if you string enough of those along, then we can start talking about the P word.